Savage Mind Podcast. I want to apologize to everyone. I think this is the longest I've been without doing a podcast. And as I mentioned last podcast and the restructuring, we're doing things a little bit different. I'm doing things a little bit different until I can get where I'm never going to be where I want to until I can get what I consider the progress I want to make. Uh, it wasn't intentional. I try to always do no less than 4 a month. My goal is 8 a month. And when I have guests on, the goal is to have a guest on every podcast when I start doing my video podcast. But in the meantime, I'm thinking if it's 5 to 8 a month, maybe 3 with guests and 5 are me. So, real quick, for those of you watching the video part that will go on YouTube, yes, I thought I was going to start a new YouTube channel, and I did, and it didn't work right again. And not going by viewers, not going by subscribers. Something didn't go right because I have a couple of YouTube channels that have been severely neglected. Again, if you listen to me regularly or you know me, I'm not going to stop anything. People at criticism, haters, spectators, naysayers, stop them. And I feel like what I have to say and others have to say are important. When I start having my guests on, whether it's here, whether it's going to them mobilely, whether it's Zoom, video chat, whatever it is, you will see that the people I have on are most likely directly in alignment with my mindset and how I live my life and what I'm about. But in the meantime, I talk about topics that are important to me, that I see in everyday life, that are heavy on my mind, heavy on my heart, that I see within family, society, social media, whether it be training, whether it be music, whether it be addiction, enabling, whatever it is. And when you get to a point where you don't give a fuck what people think, because what you got to realize is whatever you think they're saying, they are. And if you let their criticism and judgment stop you, then they win. So anyone that's kept up with my podcast in the past, I'm probably going to have to go over this periodically for a while. We are halfway through season 4. I have exceeded expectations with my podcast because I hardly have any expectations of anyone on anything, whether it be employers, whether it be friends, whether it be family, subscribers, people that's going to support. I expect hardly anyone I know that I'm related to, worked with, currently work with, friends with, grew up with, to support. Mostly all my supporters and subscribers come with outside my network. So, with saying that, I made some changes a couple of months ago and tried to go to subscription only because there was some new tools. I know y'all have heard this. If you listen consistently, please bear with me. I would apologize, but there's no need to because I feel like this needs to be heard for new subscribers. When I made those changes, it I locked up about 50 podcasts, but it still allowed me to do new current podcasts. Also, forgive me for the lighting. You see started getting my foam up in the back. Sound control, not, sound and noise control, not, it's not going to drown out all the sound. Y'all probably still hear stuff in the background right now. It is what it is. It's just I don't fucking make no excuses. I have the resources and I have the time and I have what I have. So I would think the message would be more important than whatever kind of studio I have or don't have, whatever kind of music I have playing in the background or don't, because that's not what this podcast is about. And again, like I tell people, I said, what if I would have waited till everything was perfect, equipment sitting right in front of me on my table and my desk, and I'm looking around at the rest of it in boxes. If I waited till everything was perfect, it's just like leaving a job that you're unhappy at. It's like you want to leave, but you're not going to make that much. You're worried about making the same money. You're worried about the same benefits. You want to try to go in business for yourself. You want to relocate. You want out of the bad relationship. You should leave. You should get a divorce. You should put some people in their place, whether it be a family member, whether it be a friend, a spouse, a significant other, whatever it is. But there's not going to be a good time to do it. Most people spend their life waiting for the rug to get pulled out from underneath them, trying to play damage control, We spend our whole fucking life playing defense with fucking money, jobs, significant others, fucking families, friends, everything. You can't wait. It's a superpower not giving a fuck what people think. It really is. So, with saying that, I end up getting restricted for about 60 or 90 days, somewhere in there. Excuse me. So I lifted it from being, I made the changes to keep from it being subscription only. Went back for it being optional. So I'm going to give you a little rundown. I'm not doing this for money. If I was doing this for money, I would have already quit doing it. Okay? I feel like if you know my whole story, my whole journey throughout this life up to this point, if I had a different platform, if I had a different arrangement of resources, if you really know the whole story, and you know that from a child to now, up to current day, and you know how I live my life, I feel like I'd be in a totally different situation. People hate to identify when it's somebody they know. That we are those people. I am that fucking person. Anything that I say is the truth. I don't fucking make it up. Speaking from experience, not advice. So, this ain't about money, but if I look back and say right now, after I made the changes and the restrictions got lifted, I didn't know I couldn't make so many changes in a 30-day period, and I did, and I left it back open as an option to subscribe. Again, people go follow me. Listen, if you follow me, I appreciate that. No one ever shares my podcast. Not one of you motherfuckers ever share my podcast on social media. You might listen all the time. Again, I see the analytics. I see who you are. I see the where you live, what gender, what county you live in, what town, what state, what city, age group, sex, all of it. I created this. Doesn't make me anything. It just means I'm able to see those things. So I have people that tell me they subscribe and they don't. A lot of times if I let you off the hook, I'm gonna address it later, because my podcast is $5 to $10 a month, unless you decide more. Even at the most $10 a month, which when you put your debit card, there'll be a link at the bottom. You put your debit card in, and it'll prompt you. Once you click it, like anything, going to Amazon or anything you order online, Audible, Spotify, Apple Play, it'll give you the steps and ask you what monthly donation you want to make. Again, I've said this over and over. You're not going to stop me. Nothing's going to stop me except for me. Nothing is going to stop me except for me. No one can get in my way. You might try to throw me obstacles. You might try to detour me. You might try to frustrate me. You might try to fucking criticize me, hate on me, whatever it is. And most of you know it's ineffective. No one can stop me except for me. So I realize that most of my subscribers have not picked back up. I've reached out to a couple of them. Again, it's a hassle. It shouldn't be that difficult. But again, it's not that much money. So let me give you an example. I talked about this last podcast. I have my understanding, the research I do, and the self-education I take in. Just my followers says there's a couple of different categories. My dedicated followers means they listen to at least one a month. A lot of people are following it. Wine at the end of the day. 2 workouts done, work's done, home, now podcasting. Second glass of wine. So, just on one platform, on Spotify, I have between 90 and 100 consistent followers. That means one a month. So out of 4 podcasts, let's say on average I do a month. I want to do more. That's on me. They listen to at least one. If you do that you average that between the whole year, how many is that a year? 1 a week, 52 weeks a year, it's 52 podcasts. If they just subscribe to the $10 amount, it's $1,000 a month. Not because that's a lot of money, because that gets me on other platforms. That lets other people hear me that may or may not want to hear me. That may get me more resources to get to the next level. And the only takeaway I have from that is, if you know me personally, in real life or on social media, one or both, is you must be working against me if you won't take the time to put your debit card in for that much. Because it isn't going to fucking splurge and to go party and to, I'm going to live a lavish lifestyle. So if I double that on the other platform, I have almost the same amount. That's almost $2,000 a month. For people that would like to see me have a studio, and you would like to see me have guests on, maybe even you. If you listen to this podcast, or you know me in real life, you know how the fuck I roll. I do feel like I can get to the next level. I know I'm going to get to the next level. Doesn't matter how long it fucking takes. The time will pass away. I will not stop. Relentless like motherfuckers like me, we don't go away. And that's what really pisses people off. There's 2 things that make people like me go away. One of them I have kind of control over, and the other one I don't. And when that day comes, that's when you'll see me go away. Because we have faced adversity, difficulty, tragedy, and getting told no, getting kicked in the fucking teeth, in the mouth our whole fucking life. That shit is for amateurs. Shit don't bother me at all. So with saying that, I really encourage y'all to go subscribe. You know, there's some things I could have done different. I already had my studio. I could have. I got so much responsibility, and it's not material things or money, but I got so much responsibility, so many commitments, that this just ain't, not my podcast, but getting this studio ready is just not the main focus all the time. I can't, because I have other people that depend on me. So I'm encouraging y'all to go subscribe, and if you if you have a difficulty, please get a hold of me, and I will do the best I can to walk you through the steps. So it was just Labor Day. I missed that one. We're going to jump back on this. I plan on counting this one, 3 in the next 10 days. And since it was just Labor Day yesterday, let's talk. Okay, real quick. I didn't do a podcast on this. Big shout out to my love, my best friend, my wife, my partner, my significant other, my fucking right arm, my mamacita. She may not want me to tell this, but she turned 50 Sunday. I love that woman. She is my best friend. She is a great human being. She is a great person. And if you have took her for granted, then shame on you. That's the truth. She's definitely better than me. So, a lot of people get on social media and most people get on social media and say things they think they're supposed to say. I say things that are truthful. And if you know us and you know me, you know I fucking mean that. That's my best friend. I love that fucking woman. And she deserves far more than what I'm able to do. But I'm very grateful that she is my best friend in life and that we do this together. So neither one of us is above each other. Ain't no king and queen shit. That shit gets on my nerves. That's really dictators type shit. Spoiled isn't cool. It isn't fun. It isn't functional. It looks good on, like most things, it looks good on social media. We are a fucking team. We are a unit. We are a fucking family. And she is definitely my better half. But I'm not over her and she's not over me. But man, I have people I call my best friends, but I can't even describe how that woman's my best friend. So I hope she watches this. If she don't watch it, she'll watch it one day. So I planned on doing it on Labor Day, but I didn't get done working in time because I worked on Labor Day. Go figure that. So I want to talk about something I've heard my whole life. Like a lot of things. Some of them are old wives' tales. There's sayings. They're traditional mindsets. There's just shit you hear your whole life. And without ever really sitting and thinking about it, we just assume it's true by the people we've heard it from. I mean, the list is too long. I'd be here all night and all my equipment would be dead. Y'all hear me say that? Yeah, because it's true. Which is, just because the people that told us that, doesn't make it true. Just because it's the right thing to say and the right thing to do doesn't make it true. Just because we're doing the right thing doesn't mean it fucking pays off. So let's talk about this. We've heard our whole life, hard work pays off, right? Hard work always pays off. Be a good worker. Pay your fucking, and again, I might go all across the board on this. Pay your fucking bills. Work hard. Take care of your family. Fucking be honest. Don't do drugs. Stay out of fucking jail. Stay out of fucking prison. We can go to the other end of the spectrum. Don't live above your means. Working class people. I'm speaking for the majority, not the minority. If you have these things, you must have worked hard. If you don't have these things, you must have not. I'm here to tell you, I'm not just speaking to young people, that's the biggest bunch of bullshit out that we have ever told. Kind of like staying in a long-term relationship when you're fucking unhappy or just unsatisfied. Or maybe your goals are out of alignment. Staying at a job. The longer you're there, the more it'll pay off. Just because you work hard don't mean jack fuck. It doesn't mean anything. Working hard is a good fucking characteristic trait to have. For those of us who've been grinding and hammering our whole life, we hate lazy motherfuckers. But just because you work hard and you're a good person, you pay your fucking bills, you go to work every day, your entire life, unless you learn to think different. Now, again, I know I'm not going to have enough time in this podcast, so again, I say this all the time. I might have to pick back up. There's so many different variables that go in the formula of what makes a family or a person, their hard work pay off or not pay off. Your starting point. What family you came from. Did you get to skip steps? Inheritance. School. Paid for. Did you have to get a student loan? Did they give you the tools? Did they give you the framework mentally? Did they self-educate you? What were the demographics? What situation, environment did you come from? Did you have the knowledge? Did you find out the knowledge later and seek more self-education? I mean, we can go on and on. I know a lot of people came from a disadvantaged environment. I was one of them. It's not an excuse for failure. if you got a free car to start out with. Again, there are certain things in this life, just like privilege or advantages, you shouldn't have to apologize for. No doubt, being fair about it, you shouldn't have to apologize for being disadvantaged or poor either. Well, we have a mentality in society is if you have certain things and a certain amount of money and you have a certain amount of material things, that you must have worked hard to get them. Doesn't mean you didn't. True. Again, different variables. What I always tell, let me back up for a minute. What I always tell people is before I can give any credit or any acknowledgement, I want to know the fucking formula, the truth, the real formula, not your version of it. Okay? Parents and grandparents tend to leave some of those things out that they do, that we do for our kids and children and grandchildren. Because then the story doesn't sound as compelling. To say that people or families all across the board, whether it's a family unit, an individual, that these things, if you have a beautiful home, if you have nice cars, if you have a substantial savings, a good retirement, your kids can get into the college they want to, whatever it is, to say that if you have those things, you must have worked hard. May be true. But is that also saying, this is the mentality we have, hard work pays off every time. Oh, they must have worked hard for that. This is what most of society does. They respect the money and the material things before they even know the fucking formula or the person. And people that only fucking look up, blow up people, give credit, give fucking likes, lick ass, suck cock, brown nose to people with money or material things without ever knowing how they attained it. Or how did they work for it or they didn't. People that only look up to material things and money are fucking very shallow and they're very fucking weak. I want to know the formula. And some people say, well, maybe none of your business. Then I don't need to know the other shit either. If you're going to tell me about this shit, you're going to try to offer some kind of advice. I want to know experience, not advice. And I want to know the whole backstory. I'm going to go fucking deep. There are those people out there who have worked that hard. But if we have that mentality, that's like saying that everybody who is poor, struggles, barely gets by, doesn't live in those houses, doesn't have those vehicles, those cars, trucks, their kids don't go to those schools, it's like to say they haven't worked hard. So if we're going to say that people with material things and with money, that they worked hard, and that's the result of hard work, and people who don't must be fucking lazy. Think about that shit. Think about how disrespectful that is to 80% of the people out there in this country or other countries. Now, there are different variables. Do they have habits? Did they have the framework and the education from the elders, from their parents, from their grandparents? Have they seeked or been able to access that education since then? Do they know how to manage their money? Do they know how to invest? There's so many different ways to go. But the mindset of these things equal hard work. And if you don't have these things, then you must not have worked hard. That's fucking insane to me. That's everything that we're supposed to be against as red-blooded patriot Americans. A whole lot of hard-working people that I know have worked hard their whole fucking life that still struggle, and some of them will continue to struggle the rest of their life. And there's a whole lot of people that are financially successful, materialistically successful, that have not fucking worked hard. Doesn't mean they did, doesn't mean they didn't. All across the board, all ends of the spectrum. So, I have so much to say on this. I'm going to pick right back up on this. I'm going to do something I haven't did in a while. This is going to be back-to-back podcasts. Hard work doesn't always pay off. That's a fucking lie. We just don't like to swallow that shit. Smart work pays off. And some of us did not have the framework and that education at a young age. But we're responsible for it with the internet and the tools and social media, with the things we have access for free now. Unless you just don't have the common sense and capacity to understand it. It may come at an older age, but material things alone and money do not always equal success. So let me say this again before I go. Someone's family, people struggling, people, especially in this fucking economy, families, individuals, whatever it is, does not mean that they're not educated. Does not mean, again, education doesn't mean school education. I'm not school educated, I'm self-educated. Does not mean a struggling family that may be poor, working class, or doing without, doesn't mean that they've done something wrong. And a lot of people with money and financial resources and advantage privileges doesn't mean they did something right. Let's talk about this more later. Let's pick back up the next day or two. Savage Mind Podcast. I'm Jason. Y'all take it easy.